Lovely evening, everyone, and welcome to Women's Center and Shelter of Greater Pittsburgh's Celebrating Survivors virtual event presented by UPMC Health Plan. I'm Cara Sapida from Channel 11 News, and with me tonight in the studio is Nicole Molinaro, President and CEO of Women's Center and Shelter. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you to Calvin Stemley for the beautiful music you've been listening to. Though we are very disappointed we can't all be together in person this year, we hope you enjoy this evening's program. This year's virtual event does not include an auction or a wine grab, but you can support the work of the Women's Center and Shelter throughout this program by making a donation to the Mission Moment at givewcs.org, and up to $10,000 will be matched dollar for dollar by the AJ and Sigismundo Palumbo Charitable Trust. Nicole.
I am so happy to be here with you tonight, Cara, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and so proud to serve as the President and CEO for Women's Center and Shelter. Tonight, we come together to celebrate survivors of intimate partner violence and honor those who have dedicated their lives to helping others. But very importantly, we also come together to remember those who have tragically lost their lives to intimate partner violence. And in this important moment in history, we remember the countless Black lives that have come to an abrupt end because of racism. What all of these victims have in common is that someone has chosen to exercise the ultimate control, the power of life and death, over them. And with society's collective silence, we've allowed it. These are all avoidable murders that weigh heavily on our nation. As an organization, Women's Center and Shelter promises to continue to work to end violence in intimate relationships. We commit to being anti-racist and anti-oppression and continue to speak up and take action for justice and equity. We promise to actively work to foster love, trust, and respect among all people. And we promise to continue learning, growing, and loudly working for change. But before we're loud, let us pause in silence to honor and remember all victims of all violence and reflect on the change that can come from working together.
Thank you, Nicole. The important work of the Women's Center and Shelter would not be possible without many sponsors, supporters, and friends. Our sincerest thanks to our longtime partner in this evening's presenting Ambassador of Hope, UPMC Health Plan, for their generosity and commitment to Women's Center's mission. The support they've provided over the years has been nothing short of remarkable, and it is a pleasure to introduce Laura Miller, Senior Associate Counsel, VP Government Programs and Provider Contracting, who will be making remarks on behalf of UPMC Health Plan. Laura.
Welcome to the Women's Center and Shelter Greater Pittsburgh Celebrating Survivors event presented by UPMC Health Plan. As a longtime supporter, UPMC Health Plan is proud to be tonight's presenting Ambassador of Hope and to be associated with an organization that empowers and supports survivors of intimate partner violence as they begin a new chapter of their life. I wish we were here together in person, but I'm grateful that we found a way to gather and celebrate some remarkable people and accomplishments. Marvin Ashton said, "Home should be an anchor, a port in the storm, a refuge, a happy place in which to dwell, a place in which we are all loved and where we can love." While a pandemic doesn't create intimate partner violence, the stress and loss of control that comes with recent events can trigger more frequent and severe abusive behavior. Sadly, home can become a dangerous place for survivors and their children, especially when cut off from the sanctuary of friends, family, work, and school. The hope, healing, and practical resources that the Women's Center and Shelter seeks to restore that feeling of home. In response to recent events, the Women's Center and Shelter has created new ways to connect with survivors. In addition to the 24-hour hotline, the center now offers text and online chat 24/7 for those who don't feel safe on the phone. And the shelter, so crucial for those who fear for their lives, has remained in operation. Temporary housing represents just a fraction of the services that the Women's Center and Shelter provides. The majority of the 8,000 individuals served depend on non-residential resources such as legal advocacy, children's programming, safety planning, support groups, and immediate needs assistance. These vital programs help survivors and their children, some with reduced resources, take crucial steps that will lead them away from violence and toward a life full of new possibilities. As the Women's Center and Shelter has grown to 80 employees over the last few years alone, it has developed resources tailored to the needs of the LGBTQ community, refugees and immigrants, and more services specifically for children. Increased staff has allowed the Women's Center and Shelter to provide advocacy and outreach in locations throughout Pittsburgh, meeting people where they are and reducing barriers to getting help. None of this could have been accomplished without the support of the community. But to end intimate partner violence, the center needs to engage as many individuals, agencies, and corporations as possible. We're all in this together, and your support means so much. Thank you for participating in tonight's event. I'd like to acknowledge the other sponsors and the staff who worked tirelessly to have this virtual event possible. We have an exciting evening ahead. We'll learn about the Ted Craig Humanitarian Award winners, the Ladies of Steel, and tonight's survivor speaker, Julia, and so much more. Thank you.
And thank you, Laura, and thank you to UPMC Health Plan, BNY Mellon Wealth Management, and our many additional generous sponsors who can be found in your program book, which is available digitally through the email you received today or on Women's Center and Shelter's website. I would also like to recognize the honorary event co-chairs, Dr. Brian and Jill Hamlin, whose family has been supporting the center in various ways throughout the last few years. Let's hear more from them about their involvement.
Hello, we were so pleased and honored to be asked to co-chair this event for the Women's Shelter. And, with the change in the world with the COVID, we still are happy to participate and try to raise as much for the shelter as we can. I myself, about 2 years ago, started getting involved at the shelter with my son and a friend and his mom, and the kids were looking for some community service hours for their school and kind of got a project going with the shelter. So we have been serving meals over the last 2 years. We've tried to do about once a month, but sometimes more, which has been a really wonderful experience for our kids and honestly for myself and for my friend Carrie who serves with us.
I think I'll echo a little bit what Jill said. So I was I think both of us were just super honored to be asked to be co-chairs of the event, and really disappointed that the COVID crisis didn't allow us to enjoy the event. I know last year we went and really enjoyed the event. It was so well done, and I know it's just for such a wonderful cause. We all have friends or hear of things, or I know growing up myself, that there were things that went on in my family life that I wish things like this would have been available. Then I've been super impressed with our one son, Harry, and his other friend from high school in terms of their National Honor Society project. Just super impressed with them and all the work they've done, all the things they did to raise funds for the women's shelter, and the amount of work they would do on a weekly basis and their dedication to it was really just, I can't even think of the word impressive. And then Jill's continued work every week, making these meals, and then now the other kids are helping. It's just wonderful. So again, just super happy to be able to be a part of this, be a part of the shelter and help with the shelter, and hoping next year maybe we'll actually have a real event that we can all participate in, and share some more of that.
Thanks to Jill and Brian. And as they mentioned, although we're excited to be here virtually, we're disappointed we're not with you in person. And the reason we can't be together tonight is, of course, COVID-19. Over the past few months, as the world has dealt with the COVID-19 crisis, Women's Center and Shelter has a crisis stemming from this pandemic as well. While domestic violence was increasing, as it has during other pandemics, the ability to reach out for help became extremely difficult because of stay-at-home orders. As a news reporter, I've made it a priority to cover both cases of extreme domestic violence in our area in an effort to make people aware of what is happening behind closed doors, as well as incredible efforts going on to combat this violence. One of the stories I covered last month during the pandemic was how difficult it is to reach out for help when you're quarantined at home with your abuser. I know your team has worked tirelessly to come up with creative ways to reach potential victims. Nicole, can you just tell us a little bit more about what you've come up with?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Well, we of course would prefer not to have had a pandemic strike. I'm so incredibly proud of our team's efforts related to COVID-19. Efforts which actually are being recognized as part of a Variety magazine and Lifetime TV special called The Power of Women, Frontline Heroes, airing on June 25th at 10 p.m., so tune in. As we quickly recognized the impact that the pandemic would have on our clients, and we basically went into overdrive when that happened, I'll give you a taste of how Women's Center and Shelter has pivoted and responded to the pandemic. Protecting the safety and health of our clients and staff has been our absolute top priority, and safety takes on an additional meaning and import when we're talking about victims of domestic violence who may be in fear for their lives. Our emergency shelter, of course, has been open, as has our children's program to support resident moms and kids with respite, homeschooling, and play. And some other staff have done in-person services as well. Women's Center and Shelter has been stringently following all guidelines from the CDC. And when a family who needs shelter includes someone who is immunocompromised, we arrange for them to stay in a nearby hotel. That way, we can avoid putting their health at risk in a community living setting and instead provide remote services while they're staying in the hotel. Since mid-March, all staff who can work remotely have done so. As you'll hear, many direct services, including support groups and individual counseling, are being conducted via video or phone, depending on client safety issues. We've been able to safely reach and serve about 70% of our overall clients, or over 1,600 survivors just in the last 3 months. And as you'll hear tonight, their safety and emotional needs have been intense and complex. But we've also been able to meet basic needs. With your help, our supporters, we've worked diligently to provide emergency financial assistance, gift cards for food and needed supplies, and care packages filled with essential needs to hundreds of the non-resident clients we serve each year. And we've dropped them off at clients' front doors. The demand for these services has been high since many clients are facing financial or food insecurity as a result of the pandemic, coupled with financial abuse. We also aim to remove barriers and improve accessibility to services. To that end, In addition to talking individually on a weekly basis to the participants in our battering intervention program, we started a prevention line for those who use, abuse, and control. Our men's battering intervention program has temporarily expanded to provide free counseling, education, and tools for change over the phone to people who use abusive behaviors. Additionally, and this is huge, to offer survivors a safe, alternative means of contacting Women's Center and Shelter, we launched chat and text services. Now you can reach us 24/7, not only via our hotline, but also through text or chat through our website. We've also worked hard to spread the word and create systems change. Women's Center and Shelter has been doing as much outreach as possible to ensure that survivors know how to safely get help. And we're meeting people where they've been during the quarantine, which is basically home and in the grocery stores. So how have we done this? Early on, we created a COVID-19 response and resources page on our website. We've partnered with local media sources to spread awareness of the resources available and had a social media strategy focused on information and encouragement. And we partnered with utility companies, the police, and other social services providers to get the word out. We also did a town hall meeting on IPV during COVID-19. And as you see on the screen, in April, we developed a postcard to inform people that all 4 Allegheny County's intimate partner violence agencies remained open and serving during the pandemic. And we distribute 12,600 of these postcards at cash registers in 42 Giant Eagle grocery stores. We also had a flyer that you see detailing these and additional services printed and placed in 10,000 of the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank's food distribution boxes. Both pieces have been translated into several languages, and our outreach teams have been busy at work getting them into the community. And last but not least, many of our staff work tirelessly within the justice and other systems that serve intimate partner violence victims to create change where change was needed. Throughout it all, our staff's motto was keep calm and keep serving, and that's exactly what our amazing team did. Let's hear more about it in their own words.
Hi, my name is Carla, and I am the Director of Programs at the Women's Center and Shelter. My responsibilities are to manage and support a fantastic team of advocates that work in our children's department, our shelter, our hotline. Regarding the COVID pandemic, WC&S has still maintained our work with the women and men that we serve in our area, in Allegheny County and beyond. We are providing telehealth, teletherapy with groups and individual counseling.
So the INC program has been able to be completely functional while working remotely from home, but the survivors that we serve have had a lot of increased difficulty during this global pandemic. It has made things very challenging for a lot of our clients as they work towards that ultimate goal of self-sufficiency. It's made things feel a lot less stable for them, as financially less stable, and then also emotionally less stable as they're really working towards healing through this process.
I've been working more individually with clients than I was before. Seeing as my groups were kind of just getting started, I didn't really have like a big enough group built up that I could just transfer that over to virtual easily. So yeah, I've just been meeting with people more individually, virtually.
My first goal was to contact all of my clients, anyone that I see and anyone maybe I haven't seen for a little while, just to check in and make sure they were okay. Every client of mine that I contacted reached out at least to say thank you for thinking of me. I'm so grateful to know that the Women's Center is there for anything that I need.
My job has changed a great deal, and the medical advocates across the state are learning how to do our work in a different way. We're learning on the fly. I have received a few phone calls from social workers who are in a medical practice and they have patients who are experiencing domestic violence, or they fear that they're experiencing domestic violence and they want to know what to do. So of course I'm able to provide consultation information by phone.
Social distancing with infants and toddlers is not an easy thing or an expected thing, because they still need nurturing and comfort, and like physical guidance during this time, and in ways that they wouldn't be able to do themselves. So it just involves a lot of hand washing and a lot of sanitizing things if they go into kids' mouths or anything. So just more so than usual.
My name is Lorraine, and I am the Chief Legal Officer at the Women's Center and Shelter of Greater Pittsburgh. I oversee the legal office, which is an offsite office, which actually includes two departments, the non-attorney legal advocates and the Civil Law Project, which is a law firm inside Women's Center and Shelter. During COVID-19, family law cases other than PFAs, as well as final PFA hearings, were generally continued, but if there were emergency issues, there were remote hearings scheduled or telephone conference hearings. So the attorneys in our law project have had to be very flexible in connecting victims, staying connected with our victims and connecting them with the court through these alternative means.
This is always a very special time of the year for Women's Center and Shelter. So we are really looking forward to this virtual Celebrating Survivors, and we want to give a big thank you to all of our donors and all of our supporters who are with us not only now, but who are here with us year-round, who do so many things for our clients. Thank you so much.
You have enabled us to continue to support victims of domestic violence at a most critical time in their lives, and we are deeply appreciative of that. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to our amazing donors who have continued to make our efforts possible for folks within the domestic violence community. I'm very grateful to be able to continue to do this important work, and it's thanks to you.
I want to convey my personal thank you for the donors. I'll give you an example. A young lady who doesn't have a lot of money. Her children are home from school, and she was having issues around, she had food stamps, but she needed help with household goods. And I was able to take her a great many supplies of in-kind donations. She was in tears. She was so grateful and appreciative. So I just want you to know that the gifts you give us directly go to helping people in a very tangible way. Very much appreciated. So thank you on her behalf and for my behalf as well.
Thank you so much to all of our donors and supporters. You make this critical work that we do so much easier through your support, and I can't thank you enough on behalf of our clients.
I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And our donors, our supporters have been phenomenal.
I couldn't be doing the work I'm doing. I wish you could see in the eyes of the women that we serve and the children that we serve, the way that they take these things to heart. They thank us all the time when we're handing these things over, but it's, I always say, we are just the vessels. We get to be the middle people and get all the hugs and the pats on the back that are intended for all of the people like you that are donating and doing this. It's just a very humbling job, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be that middle person and to give of your generosity to the women directly. Thank you.
Wow, Nicole, it sounds like you and your staff have been so busy, but your hard work means so much more to those whom you serve. Please remember that donations made to the Mission Moment will be matched up to a total of $10,000 by the A.J. Palumbo Charitable Trust until midnight on Monday, June 15th. Your gift will be used to provide safety and necessities to survivors and their children during and beyond the current COVID-19 crisis. Go to givewcs.org to make a donation. $1,000 can provide 2 weeks of a hotel stay to emergency shelter residents with an immunocompromised family member. $500 can provide a restaurant-prepared meal to 50 residents and children staying in the emergency shelter, as well as to the WC&S shelter hotline staff members. $250 can provide 10 hours of legal advocacy to survivors seeking PFAs, which have still been granted throughout the pandemic. We did that story as well. $100 can provide a care package of essential items and a gift card to a non-resident client using services such as support groups and/or individual counseling. $50 can provide 2 hours of counseling and safety planning on the 24-hour hotline or on our new text or online chat lines. And at the heart of your support are survivors like Elizabeth. In this next video, Elizabeth shares what Women's Center and Shelter has meant to her, especially during the COVID-19 crisis.
You know, I've been in a much better place during the pandemic, I think, than a lot of people, but the Women's Center and Shelter has just been amazing. There were things that I did not know that were going to come up with the pandemic. I know we've talked a lot about women who are stuck in domestic violence situations, but there's a lot to being stuck in your house that was like being controlled before and not being able to leave, or, you know, having someone who just, you know, who messes with your airway and then learning to wear a mask. There were flashbacks and problems that I didn't foresee coming. And the Women's Center and Shelter, with their ability to have both emergency appointments and irregular appointments virtually, they made it possible for me to just ground myself again, to continue working from home, to work with my kids, to go out when I needed to just provide support. They also helped me deal with some of the issues with my kids while we were trying to figure out how to get help for my kids. And even to just again, to have that, to know they were there. And then the group, to be able to have the group meet virtually. Again, so many of us feel alone anyway. That's kind of what gaslighting does. And to have a group that comes together to know, even if you can't leave your house, that you are not in this by yourself, that somebody's out there that cares, that these things eventually end, that is just irreplaceable. It was really important to be able to connect that way. And to some of us, I know I'm moving into an area where, again, I'm able to work more than I used to. It's a long drive for me back and forth to the Women's Center. To be able to connect virtually without that 1 hour each way is huge. To know that I could heal in some ways and take some steps toward autonomy and still get mental health support is amazing. And then the third thing that they've done virtually is just check on us, you know, to make sure that people have what they need, to distribute the donations that are coming in to WC&S, and also to check in with us because, you know, do we know somebody who needs to have someone reach out, making sure that we know how they could get in touch with the Women's Center, changing like to the text crisis line when they can't talk, or not changing to, but offering in addition. Those are really huge benefits that have really come to the forefront during the pandemic.
We are so grateful for Elizabeth for sharing her experience and story with all of us. I have to say, I've known Elizabeth for years through the Women's Center and Shelter, and you will be hard-pressed to find somebody who is more kind, more thoughtful, more creative, and just an all-around amazing person. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. We are so proud now to present the Ted Craig Humanitarian Award, which we present each year along with the Craig family at Celebrating Survivors. Last year, awards were presented to Lieutenant Eric Kroll of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. And if you're paying a lot of attention, you may notice that last year, Kroll was Sergeant Kroll. So congratulations to him on his wonderfully and well-deserved promotion. And we presented the award to the late Joyce McEnany, our longtime beloved legal advocacy manager and friend. To hear more about the history of the award and to announce this year's winner is Women's Center and Shelter Board member and Event Committee Chair Rachel Laurie Allen. After that, you'll hear from this year's awardees, the Ladies of Steel.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Laurie Allen, and I'm the chairperson of the Celebrating Survivors event. and a WC&S board member. I'd like to welcome you to this year's Celebrating Survivors event. I am pleased to be able to present the Ted Craig Humanitarian Award. This award is given in memory of Ted Craig. Ted was the managing partner of the firm that is the predecessor to K&L Gates and was a mentor to me in my early legal career and a great friend to the Women's Center and Shelter. When the idea for this event arose more than 30 years ago, I went to Ted and he provided us with both the financial and non-financial support that we needed to get the event off the ground. I think Ted would be thrilled to see that over close to 30 years later, the event is still going strong and has provided countless amounts of support to the shelter in the form of awareness, as well as funds raised to support their important efforts. When Ted passed away in 1996, we established this award in his honor and to keep his humanitarian efforts alive by recognizing other people in the community who were also providing humanitarian support, especially to women and children. I want to thank the Ted Craig family, including his widow, Shirley, and their daughters, as well as their granddaughters and great-grandchildren, who continue to attend and support the event in Ted's memory. This year's Ted Craig Humanitarian Award is being presented to the Ladies of Steel, partners of the Pittsburgh Steelers players and coaches. For more than a decade, the Ladies of Steel have been volunteering at Women's Center and Shelter. They serve meals, purchase hats, coats, and gloves for resident children, plan fun and exciting activities for everyone to enjoy, participate in the annual Children's Festival, and deliver cheer in the form of holiday gifts. Most importantly, they spend quality time connecting with residents, woman to woman, and mother to mother. I know Ted would be proud to provide his name to the award given to these Ladies of Steel who make such a difference in the lives of the women and children that the shelter serves. Let's take a look together at this video, which highlights many of their incredible efforts.
It started, oh goodness, years and years ago when a bunch of the wives and girlfriends, we all got together trying to figure out what to do for the holidays, and we wanted to do something. We were very close-knit family with each other, and we talked about the Women's Center and Shelter. And after brainstorming, you know, between a lot of the women, between Janelle and Yanka and a lot of other ones of us, we just said, hey, let's go ahead and do something, you know, whether it's coming there to work with the women, or what capacity can we do things with the women to make a difference in their lives.
It is absolutely incredible the response I get immediately. I send out the group text, and the amount of girls that come back and say, can't wait to do it, or hey, I'm literally having a baby the week before, but I want to donate coats, I want to donate gifts, I want to, you know, I want to send the photo booth stuff in. That is incredible. That makes me feel so good that I'm surrounded by so many women that are not just a family to me, but are a family in the community of Pittsburgh. They want their love and support to show to everybody. So, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity because I get to thank them. I get to tell them how grateful I am, but then how grateful that we all are for them.
So when Whitney Jones presented the opportunity to me about 4 years ago, I knew it was something that I was passionate about. I grew up myself in an unstable environment with a lot of fighting and substance abuse and violence, mental, emotional, physical abuse. And the women's shelter in my hometown actually was a resource for my family. So I knew that's definitely something that I wanted to be part of.
You kind of just have to jump in because as we all grow, I think a lot of us realize no one really knows what they're doing, and that's something we all have in common. So I think if anyone is nervous or doesn't feel like, oh, I don't know if I would be good at that, you will. There's so many different types of people that come into that building that you are going to connect with someone, whether it's a woman or if it's a child or even if it's a staff member. You're gonna make a connection somewhere to where you will be like, wow, I am so happy I went and I spent time and I was able to serve in some capacity.
I think it's important for the ladies to still to show their support of the community. Number one, because we're faced with social media and reality TV. Which that is so not our life, especially here in Pittsburgh. We're a blue-collar city. We believe in our community. We believe in making changes and difference in the lives of others, whether, it's through Women's Center and Shelter or another organization. We come together to make an impact, and it's not just an impact or just one-off. We've been around for, what you said, a decade now, that we've been doing this for over 10 years, and it's just something that it's our passion. This is a city that loves us. It's a city that embraces us and supports us. And it's our due diligence to give it back to the community too as well.
So this summer when Bonnie and I were at the women's shelter for the Children's Festival, we met so many volunteers. A man dressed in a Superman suit and people doing arts and crafts that actually were artists. So just seeing the shelter supported by so many wonderful people, receiving this award is extremely humbling.
I like knowing that I'm helping provide an escape for the women and the children. I know that their circumstances are really not great. So just knowing that the kids can be kids and the women can have some peace of mind knowing that their children are, playing and being children is nice. And, being able to be there to lend an ear to the women too. I know it looks from an outsider that we're just focusing on the kids, but we're actually providing, someone for these women to talk to as well, and giving them just some time away from what they're going through. So I think that's really important and really special.
It's really nice because it kind of takes us out of our element that we're normally kind of in the wings and supporting, and we get to really shine. We get to interact with people and have fun, and then it just brings us closer because it's an experience that we get to bond over. Every time we leave, all of us are just like, wow, we are so thankful that we were given this opportunity and that we got to meet these women and talk to them and hear their stories and hopefully, provide a sense of encouragement or comfort or whatever someone is looking for in that moment. We strive and aim to be that for them if we can. And I think that it just makes us better people.
Around the holidays, it means more to you because you're used to being with family, you know what I mean? So it's like an extended family. They were some of the funnest experiences for me at Shelter. It was always a party, it was some of the happiest times for the children there, they were really sweet to us. It felt so good as far as them being celebrity wives, basically, to us, because I'm from Pittsburgh, I love the Steelers. So they're like celebrity wives to us. So it felt good to know that people of such importance will take the time out of their life to reach out and not look at you like, oh, you might not have nothing or you might not have a home right now. They treated us like, just like their moms, like how we're moms. And they treated our kids like, they would treat their own kids. I love them too.
On behalf of the Craig family, it is my pleasure to present the 2020 Ted Craig Humanitarian Award to the Ladies of Steel. Congratulations. Ladies, take it away.
And on behalf of the Ladies of Steel, the wives and girlfriends of the Steelers, thank you to Rachel and the Craig family. When we're at the shelter, we're in the presence of greatness and such goodness from the staff, the volunteers that are there with the children, and the survivors, their strength. There's such a aura of power, of courage there. And so with the platform that we're given, we're so humbled by this recognition.
I can't believe it's been over 10 years that we have been, committed in doing stuff like this, because we do it because we want to, not because we have to. So I speak not just on behalf of Ladies of Steel, but as a board member as well for Women's Center and Shelter, because the highlight of the year sometime for some of these women is when you all come in and, the mask comes off and they're like, oh my goodness, they're human, they're normal, they're actually pretty cool. It's the fact that we take time to understand their needs, to nurture them, to just tell them, we don't know if they're going to be okay, but we just pray with them that they will be okay. And I think it takes special people and special individuals like us to go in there to let them know that we're going to fight with you. We're going to make sure that you go from a victim to a survivor.
The courage and the resilience of the residents is awe-inspiring for me. And there's just such light and joy in the room. And I don't know what I was expecting at first, but it shocked me and I want to go back. And I always look forward to going back.
The strength of the women and seeing how they put on a brave face and the joy in those kids going in, you would think that, I go in thinking of darkness and sadness because their situations are sad, but it's just a light in the room, like Amy was saying. So just seeing the strength in the woman and how they're bringing up these kids, and these kids are still so happy and still children, and they're still carrying that on, is really special to me. And that's what makes me want to keep on going.
It kind of inspired me as Troy had the luxury of being able to have his whole career in Pittsburgh for 12 years. As I started to mature and grow and just, find different avenues to support the community that have been so great to us. You really helped me achieve that and have that understanding from the beginning. And it was something that was it's something that's been so important to me and my family that it's something that we still continue to do. We really need a sisterhood to come together, and it's always good to have that and then do that with, people that might not always see each other all of the time, and you guys are in such a unique circumstance because being married to professional athletes is difficult. It's not all glamorous like how a lot of people assume it is to be or have a lot of perception about that. And it's just really special. And it's nice that you created this community of women who are willing to work together and experience all these great triumphs together, but then also turn around and support the communities that you guys and your husbands are playing in.
I know personally from the shelter, I don't really feel like we do much, but I do feel fulfilled. I feel like they help me more than I help them when I go. I admittedly was intimidated, the first times going, just because I don't want to pretend like I understand someone else's situation that I really don't. I just feel really filled when I go there, and, I'm grateful for all the ladies and what they've taught me.
I get a text from Maddie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you. Some way that I can help someone. And the first time that I went, it was the opposite. I'm not the one getting help. They're helping me. Just their strength, just seeing these children that, are so innocent in any of their circumstances has been such a healing for myself.
It was just so amazing that you guys had this tradition going, that you could just kind of come in and bring some positivity to those people, but also, like everybody is saying, we got fulfillment out of it also. But just to be some positive light for them and to be able to hang with all you lovely ladies and do nice things for people. It was always one of, my favorite things that we got to do.
Congratulations again to the Ladies of Steel. What a great group of women. Everybody here in the studio is like, wow, very impressed there. Nicole, can you tell us a little bit more about the work of the Women's Center and Shelter? I know you've grown a lot over the last 3 years, so can you highlight some of the new programs and services? Some people joining us right now may not know the depth of all that you provide.
Absolutely, I would love to. Women's Center and Shelter is proud that we offer comprehensive services. So basically, wherever you are, whether you're wondering if the relationship you're in is abusive, whether you're fleeing for your life, or anywhere in between, we can meet you where you are and offer you help and hope. We, of course, have emergency shelter, a 24-hour hotline, children's program, our empowerment center, which includes support groups and individual counseling. We have medical advocacy, legal advocacy, our civil law project, which is pro bono representation in court, and immediate needs coordination. We also have specialized programs and outreach services, outreach groups in the community, for instance. We also have our REAL team, which stands for Refugee, Immigrant, Limited English Speaking Team. We have our CYF program, which is Children, Youth, and Families, which works with those who are involved in both the child welfare system and our intimate partner violence victims. And we work in that case with the clients as well as with the caseworkers for coaching and consultation. We have our men's battering intervention program, and we also have Standing Firm, which is the business case to end partner violence. And just over the last year, we've expanded several of these programs and added a children's support team comprised of a children's counselor and a children's support advocate. We've also added an LGBTQIA+ outreach program and a victims compensation program. And we're in the process of relaunching our school-based prevention program with 2 new education facilitators and education fellows. We've also worked really hard over the last year to successfully implement the first year of our 3-year strategic plan, which included advancing our infrastructure to meet the needs of this larger team and plan for the future.
Thank you, Nicole, and many thanks to everyone who has already donated to the Mission Moment. Remember that your gift supports this incredibly important work. It is now my honor to introduce my friend, Sally Wiggin, WC&S Advisory Council member, longtime former board member, and survivor. Tonight, she'll be introducing us to this year's featured survivor speaker, Julia.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sally Wiggin, and I am honored to be a member of the Women's Center and Shelter Advisory Council. I had been on the board for over 20 years, and I am a survivor since 1984. In 1985, I joined the board of the Women's Center and Shelter to help me, admittedly, but to also help other women. And I am so proud to introduce to you one of those women. She is Julia, this year's featured survivor speaker. Before coming to the Women's Center and Shelter, Julia was caught up in a cycle of abuse. What began as verbal abuse and threats escalated into physical abuse over time. After a particularly violent episode, Julia knew she had to get out. She came to the Women's Center and Shelter's emergency shelter and began her journey of healing. Julia was the very first resident to benefit from the rapid rehousing program and now has a place of her own that she shares with her emotional support dog, Gizmo. Let's hear more about Julia's story.
I think the very first time was, of course, the hotline. That's how I got there. And I don't know if it was right away, but I just kept calling. Like my life is at stake, and I'm going, because I was losing it. And so that's why I say you guys saved my life. I know, I was in the right place at the right time. It just was very stimulating for us, looking at stuff that looks nice, to take my focus out of the people, because I get very high anxiety. Something about that fireplace over there. Something about that fireplace and just the wall of it was just amazing. So I felt like home immediately, even though the adjustment of my powerlessness, that was the best experience struggle, humble that I've ever went through. It saved my life. It took me out that environment. It also took me away from dealing with him and to like have a step back of like an inventory of what really was happening, because I always thought it was me. I always think that I'm wrong or I did something wrong. I love the morning groups, the check-in groups. I love that because it kind of sets the tone for us all to be mindful of where we're at that particular day, just to be mindful of that. Also, it let the staff kind of get a better picture to when we're walking through the hall, or if we're sitting alone or not coming out the room, they know about it. It's almost like words that can't even explain. It's very supportive, very helpful. It's almost like they just know what we need without us even asking or telling what we need. I came in with clothes and didn't want a lot of them, and I was able to donate. So that planted the seed for me to continue this journey. Like, I live and breathe survivors, domestic survivors. I live and breathe it now. It's part of who I am. And we can see, sometimes I can see when another woman is struggling in their relationship as far as mental or physical abuse. That song, I'm a survivor, I like that. So it feels good to know a year ago in March, I was there. And a year now, I'm in my own place. I have my Gizmo, which is my puppy dog. He's an emotional support animal. I really appreciate the information Paula gave me. And so wherever I go, they cannot deny me. It really helped me because I live alone with him. I believe that if I didn't have him, I would always be thinking or tense. He's my extra powerful ears. When something's close to the house, helps me identify what he sees and what I don't see. So I really, really am so grateful for the whole thing. So I'm feeling positive, empowered, motivated, determined. I still struggle with some of the triggers that I didn't know I have, so I journal about it. It's good that I stay in touch with you guys. That makes a big difference. The main thing is when it's really, really time to get busy doing things that you don't want to do to survive, in the end of it all, it really pays off. I left with an extra extended family. You know what I mean? So I am a survivor. I am. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Julia is so amazing. I think that you really got to see her light shine through in that video. I'll tell you, literally every time I would see her in the shelter or in the hallway or somewhere around the building, she just brought a huge smile to my face. And Julia, like so many survivors, is incredibly brave. Seeking help and making the choice to leave an abusive relationship can be scary and dangerous and often involves many small steps. But we are here, and we will continue to be here for the more than 8,000 survivors and children we serve each year. They deserve our help, our hope, our respect, and our loud voices. Thank you to everyone who has supported our work in some way tonight over the last 3 months or at any point in time. We simply couldn't continue this work without you. I am thrilled to announce that you have already donated an amazing $10,800 to tonight's mission moment, and that number keeps going up. And we've raised a gross total of $128,300 through all event revenue. Thank you so much to all of you, and to our amazing Women's Center and Shelter Board, who I just can't say enough about, to our fierce and dedicated and smart and passionate staff who wonder me every day, to the wonderful Celebrating Survivors Event Committee, to Cara for her continued support, and a special thanks to our incredible development team, especially Kristen and Jake, and to everyone who made tonight possible. Just as the Ladies of Steel bring joy and gifts to those at the center, the Pittsburgh Steelers have donated 2 exciting items to tonight's event, including an Alejandro Villanueva jersey and a TJ Watt autographed football. We randomly selected 2 people from those who pre-registered for tonight's event, and the winners are, drumroll please, Cara, Michelle Montag and Kate Murphy. Let's give it up for them. We will be in touch with you with more information about your prize. In closing, as the world continues to change, so will we in proactively meeting the needs of survivors and their children.
We thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to a time when we can all be together again. We know that it is a beautiful Friday night. We know the county is in a green phase, and we appreciate you taking time to spend a bit of your night with us. We know it is most likely because this is a cause that is near and dear to all of your hearts. We get that, and we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you so much, and have a beautiful weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.